Okay, I'm going to call the Board of Selectmen meeting of November 17th, 2025 to order. When the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, as we start into our agenda, our first order of business after the pledge is the public comment section. So if you'd like to offer a public comment tonight, now's the time.
Linda McNair Perry, 14 Range Road. Since Frank is on the agenda, and I'd rather not wait till the end of the meeting to ask the question in case he can answer it when he speaks, meaning the road agent, I just would like an update, formal update on what's going on with the culvert, if possible.
At Range Road.
Yes, thank you. I just didn't see it on the agenda, so I wanted to ask that that be updated. Thank you.
All right, do we have other public comment?
Matt Burke, 77 North Road. Last week you were talking about dumpsters, compacted dumpsters Jared was talking about. And $36,000. Do you guys ever think of putting a lease on them? Lease, end of the lease buyout's $1. Approximately $875 a month is your payment for 48 months. And we start saving money right off the bat without causing the town really too much trouble in finances. My company's lease a bunch of equipment, $1 buyout, fairly cheap, tax deductible. It all runs pretty smooth. You might want to look into that. You know, because I called my lease guy and asked him, you know, what 36,000 was on 48 months. $872 a month. You can have 3 brand new dumpsters in your transfer station. And they do municipalities, which a lot of leasing companies won't. Second off, last week, your highway agent said your culvert on Range Road, you're up to 210 grand. I hope you all remember, I told you a year ago, R.S. Audley would do that for approximately 150 grand and all the permits. Why you don't look into things and you just assume that, you know, if you ignore it, it's going to go away? It doesn't. It gets more expensive. And Cindy knew about this. I just don't get it. You guys just like to blow money for no particular purpose. So that's all I get to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burke. Other public comment? No others? All right, thank you. All right, next item of business is an unfinished business, which is about the transfer station dumpsters. And Jared, I think you're liable to lead us in this discussion.
So as we left it last week, we had one quote to purchase some 50-yard receiver bodies for the transfer station, which would get us away from the $1,500 a month rental fee we currently pay to rent the 100-yard live bottom trailer. The local price I was able to get in New Hampshire was $12,900. I was able to get 2 other prices throughout the week. One of them was from a company in Connecticut for $14,500, and the only other company willing to do a 50-yarder was, where was it? It was in Pennsylvania. They didn't want to build a 50-yarder. They wanted to stay with a 40-yarder, which is their more common size, and that was $11,900, which kind of defeats the purpose of going to the larger dumpster in the first place. The reason for going to the larger receiver body dumpster is to reduce the annual frequency of the trucking. I think we discussed last week that we had money in impact fees as well as in the, where was the other bit? Was it in the,
There's a small amount in the operating budget.
a small amount in the operating budget that we would have been able to purchase two at $12,900 apiece? These are not specific to just that one hopper or one compacting unit. These would work with the other three that we have there. So they could also be used with corrugated cardboard, with paper, and with our number 3, which is the auxiliary municipal waste, which currently only has a 40-yarder hook to it. I think that this is the right step forward in getting away from that 100-yard trailer. We have our contract for our hauler coming up in March of this year. And this, in my eyes, would open up the opportunity to possibly find different people to haul versus the one person capable of doing it now.
So based on your 3 estimates, you're suggesting that the local one at 12,500, I think you said?
It's 12,900 and
900.
it's a company based out of Seabrook, New Hampshire.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's, to my way of thinking, that's obviously the winner, if you will, of the bidding effort. And then, Jared, can you kind of just summarize for us the, again, the benefits of doing this and any kind of guesses you can make about money saved in taking this step?
So right off the bat, it's going to save us $1,500 a month just to have that trailer sit there. That trailer costs us between $800 and $1,200 a week to have it hauled. It's a very expensive trailer to move. Only one truck, they only have one truck available that's set up with the proper wet system to empty that truck up or empty that truck out. And it's just very costly for the amount of volume and tonnage we're getting into it. By going to a straight truck or a conventional roll-off truck, it opens up the doors to many more haulers. It makes the dumpsters much more easy to move around the property. So when one's full, we now have the ability to hook onto it, move it to a pickup location in the yard, and alternate into one of the empty ones.
What needs to be done to be able to use those?
We would have to fill in and bring to grade the area that the current trailer sits. The trailer is about 4.5, 5 feet off the ground, where the dumpster would need to be ground level. So at some point, they dug out behind the transfer station to put in a channel so they could back in to get the trailer in. Filling it in with gravel, properly compacting it would get us by. Doing that plus putting in some concrete would be very nice. But it all comes down to what we want to try this year. We could probably get by for a year with a good hard pack in there and maintain it to slide the dumpster in and out. That plus by utilizing the roll-off truck on the property, it's a lot less invasive on the gravel behind the property. Behind the transfer station where they currently drag everything around with the loader, it just makes a mess. It destroys the dumpsters. We've been reprimanded last year about the condition of Casella's dumpsters because they've all taken a pretty good beating. I think we're in a position now where we could start utilizing that truck on the property and doing things the way they should be being done. using the right piece of equipment to move those.
So the total cost I've heard so far is 2 dumpsters at 12,900 each. And then whatever the cost of the modification behind the
We would have to
gravel.
figure out how we're going to address that. Frank had mentioned to me that we had quite a bit of gravel that we could be using on the property, not on the property, but at our town pit. We do have the resources, if time allows, to actually do it. It's nothing that we would have to do immediately. It would probably be able to be done in April, because that's when I believe we'd be changing vendors.
So
and-
when would this be implemented then in your mind, ideally, let's say?
Well, my suggestion would be versus putting out the new RFP for that 100-yard trailer is we're going to put out an RFP for utilizing those 50-yard dumpsters.
And buying the dumpsters now and in April,
Buying the dumpsters now, or we could wait. But buying the dumpsters now, they won't go to waste.
right?
We have 4 dumpsters behind the transfer station right now that are useless because they're in such disrepair. But we could buy them now, have everything in place, figure out when we can get in there to do the dirt work, fix the walls behind that place. And once our new vendor, whoever that might be, starts doing our hauling, they start using those. And we never see that $1,500 a month trailer again.
So the annual savings would be 1,500 times 12, right?
That would be the immediate savings, just by getting rid of it. It would double the frequency of our hauling. However, based on past data, we have a 42-yard breakaway that we have hauled every couple of weeks. We get roughly 10 ton into it, so between 8 and 10 ton is our average. And we pay about $350 to have that dumped. And it never accrues any demurrage charges. It never accrues any waiting fees. It's just in and out of the transfer station where that tractor trailer, every week there's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of waiting fees associated with just dumping it. And we haven't even started talking about what we pay per ton to get rid of it. It's just a nuisance to haul. It's expensive. And I don't like doing it anymore. I see a problem, and this is how I would fix it.
So it also is going to double the frequency of changing the dumpster at the transfer station, which of course takes our personnel and some equipment to do. And I'm not asking this question because I'm against your idea.
It will.
But we will have to change them more frequently, which means a little more manpower, I suppose. But it might be easier to actually change them than it was, right?
Doing it properly with that truck, once an individual is trained how to do it, should probably take no more than 15 minutes.
Cindy?
You said we're gonna have to take it out double of what we do now.
So
Who will we get to do that, and how much will that cost us to move it twice as much?
that comes down to whoever takes our next RFP.
So we're not really saving anything on delivery?
On trucking individually, we're supposed to pay, I think it's $800 a week to truck it. Every time they hook onto that trailer, it's $800. And then that tractor trailer somehow accrues an extra $400 per day just in weight fees. I don't know if the tractor trailers have to wait in line. I don't know if they're exceptionally slow unloading because it's a live bottom trailer, but it's always over $1,000 every week to get that dumped. Where, again, with the very similar receiver body for our number 3, which is our auxiliary trash compactor, it's a consistent $350.
Plus, when the trailer's pulled, it's gone for 3 or 4 hours.
That's the other
And then we
thing.
have to use number 3 for trash
Currently, they're
This is
emptying
a
it every
switch.
Thursday.
and put another one in there.
So the majority of the day on Thursday, they're operating the transfer station without the trailer sitting there. So it's building up in the hopper, which isn't always the worst thing in the wintertime. I've heard reports of it freezing. But it's not ideal, where another thing I'm hoping we can save is by having that trailer ready for pickup, or I'm sorry, by having the receiver body ready for pickup, they don't have to hook it, unhook it, which they're not doing now anyway. Our guys are in charge of hooking the turnbuckles on it. It would literally be pull in, hook onto it, go dump it, bring it back. And then once the other one is full, our guys switch it out, which isn't unlike how we've been doing a handful of the other dumpsters on the property.
It could be costing us just as much to dump it.
It should be a more consistent $350 to dump it without any weight fees or any overages. So it's going to hold half. It's going to cost twice as, it's going to require twice as much dumping. But by getting rid of the weight fees, by getting rid of the rental fees, there's a tremendous amount of savings there.
So
What
even,
about what Mr. Bork just told us about a lease? Is that,
I, in certain circumstances, am not against leasing. One thing that I've come to find out by reviewing several departments in this town is so lease and rental dependent, everything costs more than it should. Where some things like this, you just got to buy it, or you could rent it, or you could lease it, but we have the money available to purchase them and be done with it. We have it in impact fees, we have it in operating, and it's done. Or we can drag it out. I mean, if we can get a 0% payment plan through a lease company, I'm okay with that, but I'm tired of renting stuff that costs us every single month that we never get to own.
So are you willing to consider what Mr. Bork brought to our attention?
I would be willing to look at the contract and see what happens, and I'm sure as a municipality, we're eligible for it. But I don't see the need to pay any interest. I don't want any stipulations. I just want to own what we need, and then we could do what we will with it.
Okay, so,
If we had a problem paying for it right now, that seems to be the thing to do. If we have the money to pay for it in the 2025 budget, we could just get it done. And, see what happens next year.
So,
Because,
Mr. Burke, would you supply the information to the town administrator?
And the only reason I said this,
We don't need any more discussion in this.
meaning you seem to be on the line, so.
Well, at the end, you can make another comment if you'd like.
I'm only questioning it too, because I know we have money in impact, but we also have discussed in the past about putting cover over our dumpsters. So, I mean, if we could save money by not, I don't know.
so what you're talking
What do
about
we need
is,
priorities, I think.
these are the receiver bodies that have full roofs already on them. It's for the MSW only. What
In
we
the
were
back with the
discussing was putting covers on the 50-yarders that take the bulky waste and what would be C and D. And that would start reducing the winter tonnage on that end of it. But those are in our CIPs for the transfer station now. These are a different dumpster.
And wasn't there some consideration that sometimes the dumpster gets picked up when it's not full?
So this is another thing that comes into our operating of the transfer station. A good example is we were closed on Veterans Day last week.
Tuesday.
So our 100-yard trailer left on Thursday at 15,000 pounds. It wasn't full. There was another day worth of capacity in there. But because we weren't sure of when things were full, Casella kind of put us on a rotating cycle of every Thursday, rain or shine, they're coming to pick up the dumpster. I saw the same thing happen when we closed the day for the fair, and I think Columbus Day, there was another holiday that we closed, but we should be in charge of making sure that that dumpster or that trailer would have been full, because you can probably save at least one, maybe two hauls a year. By doing this, the second that dumpster is 100% to capacity, it gets changed out. And then the second that other one is to capacity, it gets changed out. and we have one to put right back into its place, we have a lot more flexibility in making sure we're hauling these and we're paying these trucks to move stuff. I want to pay them to move full dumpsters.
So what's our next steps then, Jared?
I think that we'd probably vote to purchase at least 2 of these. I would be comfortable starting with 2, getting them into production, and working them into our next RFP, which I believe we've started drafting up, and finding somebody to move them for us.
So moved.
So we have a motion to buy 2 of these dumpsters at $12,900 each from Plum Northeast. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second.
Are we going to do this before the information comes in for the Mr. Bork's?
Well, I think Jared will take Mr. Bork's comments under consideration.
I definitely will.
So should we be voting on this right now?
I think we could vote on it, and then if the information coming to Jared suggests that we should take a different path than what we've approved. then
Can you
I
get
think we
that
can
to me in the next couple of days?
And then if he changes his mind, it says that that makes more sense, then he should bring it back to us, and we can re-decide.
Then I'll withdraw my motion. If we're gonna go look at the lease.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be.
And I don't think there's a big rush anyway on this, right?
Well,
It takes a couple of months to get them built.
Yeah.
I do think we should own the equipment. Leasing,
Yeah, I would like to look into the leasing things, but that goes against what I just said. I want to own these free and clear and be done. And if we have the money to pay for them now, we can get it done. And if we decide to expand on this principle next year, we could look into leasing some, because there are quite a few dumpsters there that we still don't own.
and that's where we started back 2 years ago, when we first got into it with Casella. We were causing damage to their containers. The idea was to get some of our own containers. With a heavy-duty compactor attached to it for 12.9 is pretty good. And we should be owning the equipment rather than leasing it.
We do own some, don't we?
We have a
do.
mixed bag right
We
now.
have a mixed bag right
Those
now.
still usable, the ones we own?
The receiver bodies we have are still currently usable. They're 40 and 42 yarders, and I believe we own 2 of them.
2, just 2?
Yep. Even
We
if,
have a withdrawn motion. So
I would motion to just purchase them.
we have a motion to
I don't want to
purchase.
lease or rent stuff. I mean, again, it's like taking a 0% loan if that's the case, but at this point right now, if we can pull it out of the budget and buy them,
Would I suggest that you modify the motion to say conditionally on reviewing the lease option?
yes.
So we have a motion to buy the 2 dumpsters conditionally on reviewing the lease option, and a second.
And to pay for one of them out of impact fees?
And to pay for them out of the impact fees?
One of them out of impact fees,
One had impact and.
one out of the operating budget.
All right, is the motion clear to the board? Any further discussion before we take a vote? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion to buy these dumpsters signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Oh, 1 no, okay. 4 to 1. All right, is that all for the transfer station? I would like to say that I was at the transfer station on Saturday for some hours, filling in for somebody who was not able to come in. But during that time, I noticed, and several citizens have called me in the meantime, about the giant pile of metal material that's out in front of the metal dumpster. It's huge. And I just wanted to say, for the sake of the public, that the attendant did ask for the metal dumpster to be picked up. And apparently there was some kind of mix-up. You may know more about it, Karen. Where the vendor brought the wrong kind of dumpster, or misunderstood that it was going to be the aluminum dumpster, I think, or the metal can dumpster, and they didn't bring the right one. And so there was some kind of misunderstanding, and that's why we didn't have the metals dumpster at the end, number 11, I think it is, was not picked up. And so we did pile up quite a lot of metal material out in front, waiting for that dumpster to be picked up so that we can load that into the dumpster. So I just wanted to close the loop on that. Jared, I don't know if you have any comment on it.
I was going to say, I believe that we discussed last week looking into changing our scrap metal vendor. I don't know if we've had any correspondence with them yet. But that seems to be not an ongoing problem, but their reliability for picking up is definitely, by the time they pick up one dumpster, we fill up the empty one immediately because the upper parking is filled. So hopefully by switching our vendor, we can have more of a reliable process.
All right. Let's move on in the agenda then to the next thing, which is the unfinished, oh, excuse me, that was unfinished business, the new business. And we have Frank Pachopin, road agent, to talk about tree removal. All right.
Papers.
I also have one more plowing contract that didn't get put in last week, so
We'll handle it.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
I'll also be used for the next,
So is this,
that's for the tree request,
okay.
and this is for the next item. Did the board want to jump into trees or go over Range Road first?
Hit Range Road first.
Okay. So to give the board and public an update on Range Road, Karen and I are still working with FEMA. We have not, as of today, received any further confirmation from FEMA. We have been told that it is, in quote, moving through the process. Obviously, since the government reopened, we got that email. We did receive a request for a video conference to be scheduled next week. So Karen and I will be doing that video conference together, and we're hoping at that time to receive some more insight from FEMA as to exactly where we stand. We've been told in the email there are currently no, end quote, complications with our application. It's just moving through the process. So the project remains as we left it. We're waiting. We're still working with FEMA. We have gone back to the site and prepared the site to last through the winter if that is what ends up happening, which as the days go on here, it looks like that's very much what is going to happen. And I've also coordinated with Mitchie Concrete. They are offering to store the culvert at their facility for us for 6 months for a fee of $1,500. To put that into perspective, if we take delivery, it'll cost us $5,000 just to get the crane to unload it, let alone storing it, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously $1,500 to pay Mitchie to store it at their facility solves a lot of problems while we continue to wait for FEMA. And hopefully after this video conference, we have some more direction as to what the next steps are. So that is our update currently.
Sounds good.
I just have a question, and it's not really directed towards you. Do we know what the issue is? I mean, when we voted to do this culvert, we had the FEMA money coming. Now, do we know what has halted that? That's why we built the culvert. We had money coming. Now, we don't even know if we have it coming or how much we have coming.
So before the road closure that was scheduled in October, I emailed FEMA and I gave them an update on our anticipated start date and end date. And at that time, TJ, who is our local representative for the state, responded back saying your change of scope has changed and we need to reversion your project with FEMA. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, because when it was, I guess when the application was originally submitted, 3 years ago, it was to replace the culvert in kind. The wetlands permit that was submitted was to replace the culvert that was there with a box culvert that is much larger. So everything went through the state, it all went through DES, and for whatever reason, it wasn't reversioned through FEMA. So it stayed with the state level and never was moved up towards the federal level to get final approval. And so I have asked,
That didn't answer anything, but okay,
We're not really sure why they flagged it.
right.
There's speculation, but we don't have an exact reason. We know that we were originally funded the 64,000. The A&E type project allows us to resubmit information to request more as the project scope further identifies, which is what we were trying to do. And they said, well, wait a second, some piece of paperwork doesn't match in our record. And, you know, it happened to be during the government shutdown. So, you know, just everything kind of bottlenecked at once is about the only best explanation we have, because, you know, the federal government's a mystery, so.
So I think what I hear you saying, Frank, is we hope that we can get started on this next week after the video conference.
That would be great, but probably wishful thinking. I think we're more looking realistically at getting answers next week and then figuring out how to schedule this thing in 2026.
Well, it's lucky for us that we can only spend $1,500 to store it for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, and of course, they'll still deliver it when the time comes that we need it.
Correct, and Mitchie will still coordinate and hold all of the proposals they gave us for the delivery, and coordination and installation help, because they're also part of the installation of the culvert. So all of that still stands and carries into, if the project rolls into 2026.
Further questions from the board on the Range Road culvert? All right, you want to go on to tree removal?
Sure. So the town obviously voted for the warrant article for tree removal. There was $35,000 awarded for just, quote, tree removal in the right-of-ways. At this point in time, none of those funds have been spent. So I know I spoke with Jared a little bit about this, and I would propose that the best direction to move forward with those funds is to hire a tree company to come out and work on tree trimming and encapsulate as much of the budget as we possibly can with that tree company. So I reached out to several tree vendors. You can see there's 3 bids in front of you, different local vendors, to give us a day rate, because this was kind of tricky, where we know we had $35,000 to spend, but trying to get an apples to apples bid. I asked the tree companies to bid us 1 tree crew day rate, which includes a bucket truck, an arborist, and a chip truck and a chip crew, so that this company, whoever we choose to hire, can work with the highway department to go around town to various locations and work on trimming all of the dead and dangerous trees out of the right-of-way before we get into the winter season. So the 3 bids that we got John Brown, who is a vendor that's worked for the town before, worked with Pete Shiblehoot previously doing tree trimming, Accurate Tree Service, and Bartlett Tree. The low bidders were John Brown at $18.50 a day and Accurate Tree at $18.50 a day. Highway Department proposes to go with John Brown. It's a vendor that we know and are familiar with. And seeing that they're the same price as Accurate Tree, we would like to propose to move forward with a familiar vendor. That would allow us, Will has the sheet, I believe it says 18 days. So to propose to spend $33,300 hiring them for 18 days to come out and do tree removal for the town for the remainder of this year.
Who will direct them what trees need to be cut? You?
Highway Department, so me, myself, Matt, and Paul, whereas Matt and Paul know the town very well and a lot of the trees that, you know, they can identify, and we've had a lot of discussion about, but they would work under our direction. One of the things that I like about John Brown's quote too, they're all-inclusive. They do not need the Highway Department to follow behind them with cleanup. They will be taking care of taking down trees, removing the material, all the cleanup, their flagging detail, they're kind of self-contained, so
They
that
do their own
benefits.
flagging.
Yep,
They do their own, and these are 8-hour days, I presume.
correct.
I would make a motion to approve John Brown and Sons for the tree cutting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and there is only one signature opportunity, so,
I would add that the chairman will sign.
right. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the $33,300 funds for 18 days at $18.50 a day for tree removal to be directed by the Highway Department. Is there any discussion further? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving this proposal by our road agent signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, Frank, what else do you have?
The next order of business is I would like to propose to purchase some materials out of the Highway Department's allocated impact fees. A couple of weeks ago, I responded to an emergency call from the Rockingham County Dispatch at 4:30 in the morning with Matt Kimball for a storm with a lot of trees down. We worked side by side with Eversource along with driving around town. We had probably roughly about 30 trees larger than 6 to 8 inches in diameter come down and block roads, and we were all over the town clearing trees from about 4:30 in the morning up until about 11 in the morning. What I found, obviously being new to this position, that was my first emergency call for tree removal with the guys. The Highway Department is not set up to be a first responder for this situation. They have no tools, they have no lights, they operate with one chainsaw that is broken. And it was a hazardous situation. I stood outside at 4:30 in the morning with my cell phone flashlight while Matt used the chainsaw to cut trees. We couldn't see if there was power lines mixed in. We couldn't see much of anything. Obviously, we pushed forward. We did what had to be done. We got the roads cleared, reopened, got the trees out of the way, worked with Eversource, worked with the police department, worked with the bus company to make sure everything was as it had to be. But it put into perspective that the Highway Department is operating with minimal to nothing when it comes to being able to respond safely. And they just haven't had someone to come in and ask. But ultimately, in talking with the crew, what would be requested is to, so we are, since that happened, to backtrack, I have taken our 3 chainsaws that we have, and we have them being rebuilt so that we will have 3 working gas chainsaws. But we're requesting to purchase some battery-operated chainsaws and additionally some Go-Light spotlights for the trucks. The proposal for to pull money out of the impact fees is to set up all 3 of the town trucks with emergency chainsaw and emergency lighting, so that whether they're out plowing or responding to an emergency, they have some tools in the truck that are adequate and safe to use. The spotlights that we're requesting are Go-Light spotlights. They're LED, they're remote control, so that if someone's on their own, they can have the remote control in their pocket and adjust the light and be able to have the visibility that they need. And we're requesting to purchase these battery-operated electric chainsaws as the technology has come a very long way. I know the fire department has a couple of these in their trucks as well. We'd like to keep them inside the cabs of all three trucks so that each truck has its own chainsaw. So while they're out plowing, if they need to clear trees, they can. If we use that truck to respond to an emergency, we know there's a saw in there. And the point of the electric saw is that they don't smell. The gas-powered saws with the two-stroke engines can't be left in the cab of the truck without giving the driver a nauseating headache. And none of the trucks are set up with exterior storage compartments. So what happens is the guys throw the chainsaws in the backs of the truck and they're exposed to the elements throughout the storm or the response to the call. These chainsaws are smaller, more compact, can stay in the truck. And that's why we're proposing 3 of each of these, so that the trucks are set up, it's always there. And then we also have the gas-powered chainsaws to still be able to take out if we have to respond to something that requires more than this 16-inch chainsaw.
Steve,
Motion to approve the purchase using impact fees.
and the chairman to sign.
Yes.
We have a motion to,
What's in our impact fees?
oh, wait a second. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second now.
Are you asking what the budget is?
What do you
The
have
balance?
left in your impact fees?
We have about 70,000 in the impact fees, and we're requesting, I don't have it in front of me, is it at like 2,700, Will? Is that what it says on that sheet?
276459.
There you go.
So 3 Go Lights at
3
400 each.
Correct. And 3 of the Milwaukee chainsaws. And we chose Milwaukee because the highway department already has Milwaukee tools, chargers, and batteries. So this goes along with the fleet of tools currently in use with the highway department.
And you feel we need 3 and 2 wouldn't get us by?
I feel like 3 is the better option so that it doesn't matter which truck they're in. That one driver doesn't have to call another driver if they get stuck and there's a tree in the road while they're plowing on opposite sides of town.
Well, I hope you guys go out in pairs. You're not sending one single guy out to cut trees in a storm, are you?
We go out in pairs if it's a storm or if it's a emergency call from dispatch. To have the saws in each truck was a request from the highway guys for plowing, because there are often times where they're plowing and a branch or a limb has come down and they need to be able to cut it to continue plowing around it without having to go all the way back to the highway shed to get a saw.
Any further discussion on the motion?
I'm not a fan of anybody using a chainsaw by themselves ever. But that's just, me and I.
Well, I think Frank has said that they do go out in pairs.
But I mean, even, I see where he's coming from on that. Having it in the truck would definitely be advantageous.
I'd love to
Have
add
3
some more
trucks to put
staff
'em
to
in?
the.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Behave yourself. All right, is there any other discussion by the board on the motion?
It seems that a citizen might be willing to donate the Go Lights.
All right, we can maybe have that in citizens' comments? All right,
We could have it in citizens' comments, and then that would just reduce the amount that we spent.
right. So we have a motion on the floor to spend $2,764.59 on the scope of supply that's listed here in front of you, and for the chairman to sign. Any further discussion on this motion?
The guys who do our roads are asking for a little bit of help.
I agree. All right, all in favor of approving this expenditure of $2,764.59 from the impact fees, is that right? From impact fees? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And if some citizen wants to donate towards this at the end, we can just not spend it.
Yeah.
We got to approve the donation.
Right. Yeah, so the procedure, just for their information, is the donation is offered and the board has to review it and approve it. But that would be a very kind donation. All right, we have now you want to do the plowing contract?
Sure.
All right, so we have one more plowing contract. Maybe you can explain the situation, Frank?
It's from Bobby Heron. I think it explains
Okay,
itself.
Bob Ian. D-Town Garage, and he's got a rate of $120 an hour.
Correct.
That's for his big truck.
That's for the big six-wheel truck, right? With the plow on it?
Yeah, plow, wing, and sander.
Motion to approve.
Second,
And does he have his insurance?
Yep, on the last page there.
The last page, okay. Certificate of liability insurance is supplied.
At 120 an hour, is it his big truck or is it his, the 1 ton with the wing on it?
A 1 ton with the wing on it.
Let's see what it says here. It's the Ram Dodge 2012 3500.
Yep, plow, wing, and sander.
is that what everybody else is getting?
He gets a little more because of the wing. The 6-wheelers with the plow,
Or
wing,
135.
and sander are 135. So I think he gets an extra $10 or $15 more because he has a wing. So he can do a little bit of bigger roads than the 1-ton trucks.
Right, he's getting 15 for the wing and 20 for the 2 to 4.5 yard spreader, according to this. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving this plowing contract signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And there are 5 signatures here.
I know last week the board voted to just have you sign Will for all the plow contracts.
You don't need the others?
No, that was the vote last week, was that
Oh, okay,
you could sign on behalf for all the plow contracts.
okay, well, we didn't have that in our motion.
Not tonight, but last time it was.
Last week.
Last
we
time
did.
it was.
Yeah, last time. All right, fine, fair enough.
Oh, no, we're not putting our name on that.
All right, Frank, anything else?
I don't think so. Karen, was there anything else?
Nope.
Okay, that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job, Frank, thank you. All right, moving on the agenda, we have Suzanne Steele for the Solid Waste Committee discussing an RFP for the BOS to review, Board of Selectmen. And we have a representative.
Steele, but I play here at Board of Selectmen meetings. My name's Sherry Godlewski, and I'm also on the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. Thank you for having us here tonight. Do you all have copies of the current RFP draft?
Yes.
If you don't, I have some.
Oh, it's at
They're
the
in your
end?
packet, yes.
It's in the end of the packet, okay.
I printed them in color for them so they could see the yellow and the blue.
I wanted an update on that truck. I forgot all about it.
Okay. So have you had a chance to go over the RFP, folks?
Well, we've had it for some time, I think, to look at, but not, I personally haven't reviewed it in detail, but, and would you speak into the mic so that the audience at home can speak?
Absolutely, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so in the RFP draft that we have had completed since October, we've updated it a number of times, and if you have a color copy, you'll see at the top, the yellow highlights are for the select board to fill in, the blue highlights are questions for Jared. And so we took this RFP we took the template for this RFP based on other requests for proposals from other communities in New Hampshire. We also compared it to the latest RFP, which is the short acronym for request for proposal that Deerfield had submitted or had put together recently. And so it addresses the municipal solid waste, and there's some assumptions there that I'm asking Jared to look at, and we'll need to put together the dates and these sorts of things. So that's the type of stuff that the select board needs to approve and fill in. So, and then we go into the construction and demolition debris and whether we want to continue that or start bringing that back or not, so that can be deleted. And we have estimated tonnages for all the commodities, so that will help a potential bidder understand what the volumes are that come off of our facility. And you'll see on the second page is the recycling. So there's mixed paper, old corrugated cardboard, glass, plastic, tin, and aluminum. And then we have to talk about timeframes, and we have to talk about deadlines for the proposals to be submitted and how we're going to handle the various bidders as they come in. So those are the types of things that the select board and the town administrator will be filling in, including deadlines and timeframes of that nature. One thing that we have been thinking about in the Solid Waste Committee is the timeline. Because we are, although we have until March 31st, if you start backing up, we're kind of needing to push this forward. Because we have to get a request for proposals out to potential bidders. We have to allow them at least a month to put together proposals that will come back to the town, and then we have to review them. The Solid Waste and Recycling Committee would like an opportunity to review them. I'm sure the Select Board and the Town Administrator are going to make the final decisions and review them, but we would like to see what comes in. We've done some initial calling to vendors just to see who might be interested, and there may be a few vendors, maybe 2 to 3 that we know of, but now, as Jared mentioned, if we go with a smaller bodied receiving unit, we may be able to entertain other vendors who can handle those smaller pieces of equipment. So we were thinking that we should try to wrap up this RFP by November 30th. So wrap it up right after Thanksgiving and try to get it out to potential bidders in the beginning of December. So the week of December 1st through 5th. This would allow them to look at the RFP, and some of them have already expressed interest in looking at the facility, so they would want a site visit. They might want to have an interview with us so that they sit down with the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee, or maybe even at this meeting, to talk about what we expect in their service. And then we were thinking that proposals could be due to the town early in January, maybe even January 5th. So the holidays are behind us, and it's important to give potential bidders enough time, because this is a challenging time of year with the holidays coming, and not a lot of stuff gets done around the holidays for some people, and some people go away for a couple of weeks if they have young kids. So we figured January 5th might be a good time to have the proposals come back to the town, and then between January 6th and 16th, we could do a review of the proposals by all the parties who would like to review the proposals, you folks up front, and then us as the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee, and then have a discussion potentially at the Select Board meeting on January 20th, where the Solid Waste Committee could come and we could have an open discussion about what we feel has come through in terms of potential bids and the pros and cons of those potential bids. And then look at the early part of February to have the next hauler selected. Because what we're going to need to do, and you all know this, contracts have to be put together. They might just submit a closed bid that says, for what you've said here, this is how much it's going to cost you. And then we need to go through that with the potential future hauler to get a contract in place that we are both in agreement with. And that could take a little bit of time. And you guys have a lot on your plate, so we were trying to build in time for all these things to happen. And then we thought that we should try to have the contract developed and awarded by the end of February so that we could prepare things, because our end with Casella is March 31st. We need to get everything ready, and if we're going to move in those 50 yarders, there might be a little site work to do. So we're just trying to get the fire under our feet to get this proposal out the door so we have ample time to make good, thorough decisions about the next hauler and how we're going to handle our future at the town and with the solid waste and the transfer station. We don't know if you want a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract. These are all things that need to be discussed with you folks, because it's your choice, and the town administrator, of course. And so then again, we would need to prepare the site in any sort of transition. So if we are going to buy additional dumpsters or receiving bodies, those things would have to be in place before the new hauler starts, unless they're going to wait until April, and then we'd have to adjust the RFP accordingly. So we need to do a little homework first to understand if we're going to buy new equipment, when we're going to get that equipment, and if that equipment will be in place at the start of this new contract. Otherwise, we will need to create a proposal that says it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid. So from April 1st to X date, you'll use this equipment, and then from that day forward, after the site work's been done and the new equipment has been purchased, we'll use that equipment. So can you see how it's a little bit of a shell game here to figure out how we're going to get the right stuff in place at the right time. So that's why we're feeling if we could get this proposal out sooner rather than later, it would give ample time for bidding, ample time for review, and thorough discussion, so we make really good, sound decisions, and we can have better goals for our solid waste and recycling team as well as for our budget, because we don't want to go over the budget again. This is why we've really tried hard to get good information into this request for proposals so it can be a solid request, inviting good bidders in who want to do open and honest business with us.
Karen, is this a schedule you think we can do?
That was really fast, but
She sounds like one of my project managers who's got a plan and a timeline, and I have to say that I'm impressed with the planning of the committee through, as reported by this person here.
Thank
So
you so much.
it's,
I can
Sounds like
get
a
that
good-
all typed up for you, Karen, and submit it to you probably within a day or two if you want to review the potential timeline that we've put together, but it's not set in stone, obviously. It's just, some of us have worked in this field, and some of us have done this type of work before. And I'm sure you all know from your backgrounds, if you've done a request for proposals to get bidders in, you need ample time to go through it. And with a decision-making body that has many people and many ideas, we would like to be able to get the decision done in a very thorough manner.
Will? Can we accept this proposal and have Karen review it and get started down this path?
well, I think what I heard is that she wants a decision on November 30th.
Well, if we don't start,
your next meeting is not until December 1st.
Oh, December 1st, okay, December 1st. Put a little wrinkle in the project manager's schedule already.
That's okay, the project manager's
But I think
flexible.
this, I mean, the scope is very doable. I would anticipate the board would want to be negotiating a 5-year term out the gate.
right,
All of the rest, a lot of the rest of this is tonnage that was based off of actuals.
Correct.
And a site visit with new vendors, I would suggest setting one date and saying we can send out the RFP to vendors that they've already been in touch with, put it in the paper and on the website, and then set a date and say, here's your pre-bid meeting, and then that's their opportunity to visit. That way it's not tying up staff to keep going back and
So we
forth.
have a couple dozen
But those are all doable things, I think.
things highlighted here that are things for us to check and verify and decide on. There's X's here, you know, where things need to be filled in and that kind of thing.
I started going through this last week, and I made a couple of amendments. We had to come up with more accurate tonnages and stuff, but from what I see, there's only a couple of very small amendments I would make to any of this.
I would suggest that we fill in all the blanks.
Yeah.
And that we do consider, you know, whether 5 years or 3 years, whatever we want to propose is out of the gate. And then December 1st, if that's okay, we'll plan to make a decision so that you can keep going on your timeline.
Sure, and if you'd like us to come to the next meeting to do any support, we can do that on December 1st. It's
Yeah,
up
it
to
might
you.
be wise to be here to answer any questions that come up in the meantime. We
Sure.
can review it.
And Karen, I believe you have an electronic copy of this proposal? the request for
do,
proposal?
yes.
Okay, so if you need any more information from us, we're happy to help. And Jared, you're going to answer all the blue questions, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And if you could still send me the draft that you had of the timeline, that would be helpful.
yes.
Thank
I
you.
will.
So Karen, do you want to take a stab at filling in the yellow spots that are for us? And then send it to us and we can see what you've done there?
awesome.
Any other discussion by the board on this topic? All right,
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you so much, appreciate your
Sherry?
time.
I like the timeline.
Very organized.
Yeah. All right, our next item on the agenda is the conflict of interest complaints. And so I believe you're going to hand us some that have come in.
I have received a conflict of interest complaint against, or the complaint is made against Will. It's all of the same complaint. It's 8 separate filings.
8?
Okay,
How many?
8.
so I'm going to turn this over to my vice chairman to handle this with the board.
seems to me the content page is all the same.
Right.
Yes.
So these complaints aren't individual. They were just handed this piece of paper and,
I am not sure how they got the
mean-
filing. I mean, the text is all the same.
it almost
Or it
looks like
appears.
It is
Petition.
a mass petition, and,
But where they originated or how they were distributed, I'm not sure.
but there are, the details are all filled out.
well, like, this one here says see attached, which is the one that's connected to all the rest of them. This one here's got.
They have names, addresses, phone numbers, emails, they're signed, and then they have a statement of what they're complaining about. That one isn't, so,
Signed, but it's,
so that one, this one I would say is not,
well, it's signed here.
it's signed, but it's not filled
Filled
out
out.
in detail, which is the wording in the policy, that the form must be filled out in detail. These are filled out in detail, names, addresses, phone numbers, contact points, the whole 9 yards. This is just signed, and I can't make out who signed it. But that's just my opinion. All right. Think of that one.
Does the board wish to discuss these further tonight, or do you want the opportunity to review them since you just received them and put it on the agenda for December 1st?
Should we at least read some of the part of it so the audience knows what it's about?
The claim? Sure.
Okay with you?
That's fine with me.
Good. Read one.
Wow, I wasn't volunteering.
Oh, really? Well,
I made extra copies if you want me to just distribute them to the public, or?
needs to be written, needs to be spoken
Okay.
into the record. Give me one. I'll do it.
You should have the
I'll
last
split
page.
it with you.
All right.
On September 29th, at or about 8:39, Mr. Hubner, while chairing a meeting of the Deerfield Select Board, stated that a conflict of interest complaint against the Select Board's representative to the Municipal Budget Committee had been received. Mr. Hubner is the Select Board representative of the Municipal Budget Committee. Section 4.1 of the Deerfield Conflict of Interest Ordinance, COI, states that a public servant shall not participate in any matter in which the public servant has a personal interest. Further, Section 5 of the COI states that public servants have a duty to recuse themselves from participating in a specific action or discussion where they have a conflict of interest. Further, the COI clearly instructs that public servants who have been recused may remain in the hearing room for the public input portion of the hearing and shall seat themselves with the other members of the public that are present. When recused, the recused person shall not participate in discussions unless he or she clearly states for the record that she or he is doing so only as a general member of the public. Following the announcement of the complaint, Mr. Hubner failed to act on his duty to recuse himself and instead continued to act on and discuss the complaint as if it were not the subject of the complaint, as if he were not the subject of the complaint. Having failed to recuse himself, Mr. Hubner proceeded to administer the complaint. Section 7 of the COI states that the Select Board shall be responsible for administering this ordinance and describes a process under which the Select Board shall consider the complaint and determine whether a reasonable person could conclude the complaint states a claim that may rise to the level of a violation of this ordinance. Without Select Board concurrence, Mr. Hubner introduced the criterion for the selection of an individual investigator that the person had to be biased. The COI does, that the person had to be non-biased. The COI does not require or even contemplate a biased criterion. It calls for a reasonable person, an accepted standard by law. Mr. Hubner then proceeded to describe a personal disagreement he had with another Select Board member as evidence of one such unacceptable bias, thus deeming that person to be ineligible to be involved in the investigation. Section 4.5 of the COI states that no public servant shall use or attempt to use his or her position as a public servant to obtain any private or personal advantage for themselves. Your turn.
Mr. Hubner's voluntary introduction of the bias criterion and subsequent use of the criterion to attempt to eliminate the potentially harmful to Mr. Hubner influence of another member of the Select Board was an attempt to influence the outcome of an investigation and action contrary to the requirements of Section 4.5 of the COI. Having spuriously injected the concept of bias criterion into the actions and process he was undertaking contrary to the terms of the COI, Mr. Hubner then proceeded to appoint as investigator of the subject matter of the complaint a junior member of the Select Board and a fellow Republican who was also head of the Deerfield Republican Committee. Additionally, Mr. Hubner recommended the investigating committee include the chair of Municipal Budget Committee, one of Deerfield's Republican representatives to the state legislature, who had publicly endorsed and supported Mr. Hubner in taking the action which had led to the filing of the subject complaint. While apparently employing bias as a sword to attempt to eliminate opposition, Mr. Hubner also appears to have employed it as a shield to protect himself by using his position to attempt to stack the investigating team with fellow Republicans and sympathetic members alongside the town administrator, actions contrary to the requirements of Section 4.5 of the COI. As a member of the Deerfield Select Board, Mr. Hubner's oath of office is on file with the town clerk's office. In taking the oath, Mr. Hubner promised to uphold, inter alia, the laws of the state of New Hampshire, which includes local ordinances such as the COI. In fact, Mr. Hubner voted to adopt the draft COI before it was ratified by the legislative body in March of 2024 and was one of the members of the Select Board who signed the ordinance prior to its ratification. It would appear disingenuous and self-serving argument if it were to be made by Mr. Hubner that he was unfamiliar with the COI, particularly as he had already officiated over the handling of an earlier complaint under the ordinance. Regardless of such pleading, were to be made, given the facts set forth in paragraph 1, comma 2, and 3 above, the actions that the town witnessed on September 29th, and this is available from timestamp 3:09:23 on the YouTube watch. I guess that's the tape made of the meeting. He failed to demonstrate a clear failure by Mr. Hubner to uphold the undertaking and promises he made in swearing to the oath of the office before the town clerk. How many actual complaints did we receive?
8 of the same.
8 of the, exactly the
just-
same.
yeah.
There is one that the form is not completely filled out.
You want to go back down?
I would suggest that the one that is not filled out in detail be dismissed for that reason only.
And we have 7.
Is that a motion?
That was a suggestion. Would you like me to make it a motion?
That's
to
what
be a
we'd have to
motion?
do.
We just don't accept it.
What's that?
Doesn't need to be a motion, does it?
I don't believe it needs to be a motion because, again, Article 7, I think, of the COI states that the form must be filled out in detail for it to be accepted. I'll make it a motion
To remove it? this
to
one?
remove it.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor? The motion to remove this one complaint?
Aye.
Aye.
Any no? Okay, so we'll remove that one.
I would suggest that we wait till the next meeting to discuss what actions we wish
Do
to
we,
take.
do we want all of us to work on these, or are we gonna, you wanna pick a couple to work on it?
Well, we all have a
and-
copy of the complaint,
Yep,
so we can all actually work on it.
okay.
Look at it, and at our next meeting, make a decision on where we want to
December
go from
1st.
there.
Okay, here we go. Got a motion? Does that need to be a motion?
I don't think so.
You
I
need a
think-
motion to table it. No?
You want to?
Well, we're not tabling it, right? It's investigating it. We
Okay.
have to have a report.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I'm fine with that.
All right. So you need to hold on to all these.
I gotta put them down there.
All right. Let's go on to our next item of business, which is go into our regular business, which is a review of the minutes from, these are the minutes from 3, November the 3rd, in which we had a public meeting, and 11 the 3rd, we had a non-public meeting. You have those minutes in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. There's any further discussion, any omissions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor of approving both the public session and the non-public session as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next item of business is vouchers and payroll manifest, and we have one from 11/11, so November the 11th, Veterans Day. We have a gross payroll of $95,686.53, which results in a net payroll of $62,356.05.
And that was approved?
That was signed by 3 last
you.
week, yes.
So that one has already been signed by the Select Board. And then we have excuse me, oh, so we have no voucher and payroll for today?
No, this is an off week.
An off week, okay. All right, then let's move on to the account payable manifest, of which we already have approved the, oh, should be, we have to approve both of these, I guess, right?
You
1111
signed- The 1111 was signed already.
was signed already, and then 1118, so the one for
Just read them
tomorrow.
into the record.
So we have one of $24,382.84, which was the payroll manifest for 1111. And then for 1118, which is tomorrow, we have a payroll manifest of $9,712.06.
Those aren't payroll, those are
Those are
accounts
accounts payable, right? I said payroll incorrectly. It's accounts payable.
I believe that there is one there that needs to be signed.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the one for tomorrow, for November 18th.
So moved.
We have a motion to accept the payroll, excuse me, the accounts
Accounts
payable.
payable.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the accounts payable for tomorrow? In the amount of $9,712.06. Seeing none, all in favor of approving the accounts payable manifest signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, let's see. So in our next item of business is the signatures and correspondence.
I have a cemetery deed for $800 for one lot at Old Center Cemetery.
Motion to collect?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to collect a cemetery deed application for $800 for Old Center Cemetery. Any further discussion on approving this deed for the applicant? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the deed, sale at $800?
Aye.
Signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
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 All opposed?
I have a notice of intent to cut for signature for map 413, lot 27, off of South Road.
All right, so intent to cut. It's largely for our information that we'll be able to collect some timber tax in the future. And it is a plot of 35 acres, and they're going to cut 30 acres of that plot, and it is off of South Road, as the town administrator has said.
To sign it.
Any questions?
I have two notices of abatements that are being requested to be approved. So the names of the properties that these are folks that have elderly exemptions, so they're not public record. These are two properties that were applied for the elderly exemption. Their documents were reviewed and approved timely, but their exemption amount was not inputted into the assessing software prior to the tax warrant being printed. So their December billing wasn't reflective of the warrant. So this is just to abate the amount of the exemption that they should have received on their December bill.
And so this has been approved by the assessing department and the town clerk?
It has, and the select board also approved the granting of those elderly exemptions over the summer.
Okay. Any,
So if
Questions?
we've already approved it, and it's already been done, what are we signing exactly here?
this is asking for an abatement of the amount that they overpaid, I
Okay.
suppose, right?
Yes.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second to approve the abatement of these two amounts. Should I read the amounts?
You can read the amounts, just not the properties.
Right. So one of the abatements is the amount of $2,797, and the other abatement is in the amount of $1,787. All right. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of approving these two abatements, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
For clarification, we have a specific account for refund, for making abatement refunds, correct? I
Yes.
can't remember what it's called.
Overlay.
Overlay.
Overlay. Just remembered.
And this is the 2026 dental renewal with Health Trust for dental coverage only. So the rate increased about 4%.
Move to approve.
All right, so we have a new rate increase to approve of about 4%. Is there an exact amount that the public can know?
The family rate, I think, is 179, and it was up from 162, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay, roughly 162 to 179, and that's for the dental. Yeah. Any other questions about approving this 4% increase to the dental plan for the employees, town of Deerfield? All right, seeing no other discussion, all in favor of approving this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and there is a single signature here, so,
Motion to approve the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
okay. So those are the same two that motioned, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go for it.
for the member here, okay. Make sure I sign it in the right place. Okay, you can take a look at that. On the next page is the amounts. And then we do have one more correspondence that I'll go through, which is the suggestions that were made to us. Which I have here somewhere. Let's see. Well, we had a email that came in suggesting to me as the, here it is right here. An email that came in, and I think what I want to do is just read this into the record, and then we'll have some discussion. So I'll just read it. Hi, Karen and Will. I've been reading Board of Selectmen policies put together by other New Hampshire towns and came across a couple of ideas that I'd like to suggest Deerfield consider implementing as a means of improving communications with constituents. One of the things I've seen a few times is that if an issue is tabled at a meeting, the town administrator will add that item to the next BOS agenda so that the public is assured of hearing additional discussion or a resolution on the matter. Implementing that in Deerfield would help we, the people, see that things are brought up to meetings and are not just dropped, and also not resolved outside of the view of the public. Even if the decision is somehow made outside of the meeting, if and when that is allowed by law, keeping the topic on the agenda and providing the public update keeps communications open and honest. So that's the first suggestion, is that the town administrator would essentially keep like a log on the agenda of the tabled or open items, which Karen already does. I mean, we keep track of the items as best we can, but we don't publish it on the agenda sheet. So I think, Karen, you've indicated to me that you don't see any real problem with doing that in the future, and so my suggestion is that the board approve that change to our agenda practice based on this public comment.
Sure.
So I think by consensus, we can agree to go ahead. All right?
And as it's tabled, it's not always necessarily tabled to the following meeting. You
Right.
could table it to a specific date.
Yep,
So it doesn't always necessarily mean the next meeting.
right, right. But it will help us not to let things fall in the crack or forget about them, right? And then the second comment is, following public comments, the chair may place any matter on the future agenda or refer to the matter to the town administrator for an investigation, report, or take such action as may be appropriate. So the explanation for this is, if Deerfield were to implement such a practice, I feel it would help people see that the BOS takes their comments and input seriously and lets us know that there will be follow-up and we are not just speaking into a vacuum. we will know action of some sort will be taken as appropriate on matters that are brought to the board's attention. And then they close with, appreciate your considering these things. On that second one, I guess for me, I point out, I don't think that's really any change in our procedure. I think that the chair can certainly ask for something on the agenda. Any of us can, and any of the public can ask for any item to be put on the agenda. So I don't know that we need to enact any new thing to say that how to get on the agenda, other than to just say that anyone is allowed to put any item on the agenda for consideration in the next meeting. And just to be clear, public comments are meant to be almost a one-way communication, if you will. They're simply comments to us that we take under our advisement, we listen to them. Sometimes and when it's a simple question that's asked and we choose to, at our discretion, we sometimes give a simple answer to something. But many times, there's no discussion amongst us about the public or engaging with that person back and forth. But if that person does want to engage with the board and have more of a discussion in public, then they have the opportunity to
Go on the agenda.
put it on the agenda and come up to the table and be part of the discussion with us, to present some material perhaps and to ask some questions that we could have more of an agenda. So just to be clear about the procedures and why we sometimes seem like we're not willing to engage in a public comment section, we do encourage you, if you wish to make it an agenda item. Cindy?
I thought when we decided to do the 2 public comments, one of the public comments was going to be a small amount of
We've been playing it by ear.
interaction.
Yes.
Where the other one, there was no interaction. I think it was the last one. But I think the first one, I thought we were going to be able to discuss some things if we knew, without going back to look at things. And
On a situation-by-situation basis, that's pretty much what we've been doing.
Well, and at our discretion. We're not forced to answer questions, right? But we've been having the discretion to answer simple questions if we feel that we should. It's up to each member to do that.
But that's on one, it's not on both, it's just on one of them.
I've been doing it just on any public comment, but if you wish to, if there's a reason that you'd like it to be only one way, I'd entertain your thoughts.
Public comment and public question are actually 2 different things. A good example was I was asked probably 3 or 4 separate questions last week that were very easily answered. There was no need to, put my head down or not say nothing. You could answer the question, but responding to a comment and engaging in an altercation or something like that's just a different ballgame altogether.
I think we can leave it to the board's discretion at the moment that it occurs.
So does anybody have any other input about making any change?
So the reason behind this is, we allow public comment, but this is our meeting. And in the past, it has gotten out of hand with opening up a discussion with someone making a public comment. We have relaxed it over the years to the point of, if there's a simple answer to a simple question, we can do it. But the idea here is that we're here to meet. We're not here to get into conversations with the public unless they're on the agenda.
Other thoughts? All right, seeing none. So we're going to adopt the new procedure on the first suggested item. We thank the citizen who made the suggestion to us. And on the second item, I think we're already encouraging people to be on the agenda if they want a full discussion with the board. All right. Is there any other correspondence or signature requirements?
The only other,
Administrator's report?
yeah, in my report, the only thing I had was one piece of correspondence that was sent to Will and I from Kendra, the school board chair. So she had mentioned that after consulting with legal counsel for the school board, she wanted to alert the town of a potential conflict of interest with respect to Greg serving as the alternate to the MBC as it relates to the school budget, because he is a full-time employee of Pembroke Academy, which is part of the SAU. So just bringing it to the board to see if you wanted
So Greg
to.
will abstain from being the MBC rep during school board discussions.
Yeah, he can do that.
Yeah, the problem is, there are going to be several meetings that are all about the school.
Right.
And so if in a case where I can't attend the meeting, Greg would be the alternate, he would have to abstain from every vote.
Right.
But here's the thing that I would like to input, which is that Greg is not voting on his own behalf. Greg is simply voting on the selectmen's behalf. So he's simply relaying what happened at the meeting, and then he's going to say, I'm voting, this is what the selectmen voted. So the representative is not
He's not
voting
representing that.
in their own interest. They're relaying what the select board voted.
But the problem is it's municipal law. And having anything to do with his employer's quote-unquote budget, it's kind of a fine line. Yes, we should be able to mitigate it, but we can't.
Okay, fair enough. The other thing I think that can be discussed is the fact that Greg is not voting on a budget that has his salary or anything to do with his own interest. It's
Technically,
a
it
different
is
school
because
in a
of the
different town.
SAU. Because of the SAU, that it is all encompassing of all 5 towns that are part of it.
Right.
So
Yes, I think we could work out something personally, but this is a matter of law.
the only thing that would be specifically related to Pembroke Academy would be high school tuition and the money that we pay the SAU. And that's just for SAU services. It has nothing to do with the high school itself or me in any way.
I totally agree with you, Greg. It shouldn't be a problem, but it is.
I mean, so I'm looking at the RSA right here, and let's see. No selectman, town manager, school board member, except a cooperative school board member, full-time town, village district, school district, except a cooperative school district or other associated agency employee or village district commissioner shall serve at the same time as a budget committee member at large under RSA 32. So right away, a couple of things stand out to me. It says no selectman or school board member shall be on a budget committee. I mean, so we have a select board member appointed to the budget committee. We have a school board member appointed, and I think that is the key term, appointed. I mean, right away, it goes against the RSA with the exception that they're appointed. So I am an appointed,
So I
A few
think the purpose of
questions.
that is to say that no one who is a serving selectman can run for the MBC or be a member of both.
An elected member.
an elected member, and that's the difference. This is appointed, that's what allows us to serve on there as an appointed member. So right away, I think that takes it out of the RSA. I mean, and we also have to consider, I mean, in March, am I allowed to vote on the school budget? I am, obviously. I am. So how is this any different?
Greg, are you full-time or part-time with Pembroke Academy?
I'm full-time.
You're full-time. So the statute says specifically a full-time employee cannot serve on the budget committee or on the governing body,
Yeah, as an elected member.
or as an ex officio. So my question to you is, it says that the Deerfield Select Board member who is employed by Pembroke could not serve as, so I reached out to NHMA, so is Pembroke Academy considered to be a constituent part of the Deerfield School District, or is that considered separate?
Part of the SAU.
It's just SAU, yeah.
So if it's part of the school district, they would still lean back that if you are full-time, that it would disqualify you from that position.
Right, Karen shared this with me that she's passing around now, which I'll pass to you folks.
And it's really your full-time status. If you were part-time, you'd be able to serve on both.
It does seem to call out full-time and school district. So it does seem to cover what's being said here. And just to bring some context to this, Greg has only had to substitute before me one time, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so far. One meeting I missed because I was in Pittsburgh at my job. And there's another example of this happening tomorrow, which I'll be in Pittsburgh tomorrow, and Greg is slated to represent the board in his duties tomorrow for me as well. But the agenda for the NBC is not covering anything about the school tomorrow. It's only going to be working on the town budget. So, Cindy?
I realize this is probably law, but Greg is not there representing himself. He's there representing the board. So how is that any different than?
I think in this instance,
Can't
it's a
sit
little
there and
bit,
say what he feels. He has to say what we feel.
right, but the select board does not cast a vote on the school budget separately. Right, so because so he's not representing your vote.
So during the school discussion, he can't say, oh, this is how the selectmen voted on that school item, because we didn't vote on the school items, right? So he does have to use his own opinion or his own judgment as to what to do there.
So basically, in this situation, if you can't be available, there just should not be a selectman's representative to the MBC on the school budget.
Yeah, we could take that approach, but I do think that I don't say requirement, but the chairman of the NBC did request that the board appoint an alternate in case I wouldn't be available to be at the meeting, and we did that. We just didn't think about this issue when we did that. And I think we recognize that Greg is involved in the school system and the school process, and so it seemed logical that he would be knowledgeable in things
would
about
make
the
sense,
school.
yes.
That's why we selected him. So my personal opinion is that this seems kind of like unfair a little bit to Greg. He's a good man, and he does know a lot about the school system. However, I think that, to me, when I now read all these RSAs and look at the language that Karen has brought to my attention, I think that we, for the sake of being completely away from any conflict of interest problems, that I think I would recommend that we do consider a different alternate to be used for when school board items are going to come up, which is going to be transitioning. We're finishing up on the town budget, and we're going to be transitioning pretty soon now in December into the school budget. So that's my feeling. Other discussion amongst the board?
The alternative to that is that Greg could stay the alternate and simply abstain from those. And if you wanted to participate in discussion, you would do so from the audience.
You could probably do more from the citizens' point of view and just not take a vote.
Well, I think we're walking a gray area with no definitive answer here. And, there's erring on the side of caution, and then there's, going a bit too far, I guess.
Have we contacted the town attorney on this?
I did not contact town council, I contacted NHMA.
I would suggest that you get a firm opinion from town council on how we should proceed.
Okay.
I've also looked at my calendar, and I don't anticipate any other meetings that I'll miss, but you never know. So it might become a moot point in that sense. But Greg has, volunteered to do that, and he did a very good job in the one that I did miss before. So is it the pleasure of our board to postpone any decision on this until we have town council give us some input on it?
That works for me.
Okay. And having Greg serve tomorrow, which is a case when there's another need for an alternate, is that okay with the board?
It's non-school related, correct?
Right, it's all town.
Absolutely.
So then you're, no problem. And thank you for doing it.
All right, and Karen will make a note to keep that ready for the next agenda, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, next order of business is the, town administrator's report, which was that one item. And so now we're down to other business. Do we have other business? All right, do we have any other public comment? This is the second chance for public comment.
Sir, would you like to donate lights to the highway department?
I would.
We would really appreciate that.
I would.
Thank you.
You give me a firm price, and I will cut a check by the end of the week. Does that agree with the board?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the board then has to approve.
Move
Please
to
don't,
accept the
please don't let this take out of my time.
Oh, we won't.
I didn't understand.
I move to
Time for
accept
me.
the
He
doesn't-
donation for 3 Go Lights at $400 apiece.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept Mr. Bork's kind offer to provide the go lights for the highway department for their tree cutting or night activity. Any further discussion on approving the donation to the town? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to accept that donation signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Opposed?
You're welcome. Happy to do it.
Anything else, Matt?
My comment is for Will. Will, you can't be too mouthed on. Some people can ask questions and get answers, and some people ask questions and don't get answers. It's either the same for everybody or not. Pretty simple. You're the guy who set the rule that we don't give answers. I suggest you take your own advice. Mr. Barry, you say this is your meeting. You're incorrect. This is a town meeting. Town meeting by the select board, where we get to speak what we have to say when we're allowed to. So don't make it that it's your meeting, because that's incorrect. This is a town meeting. And Cindy, that you can only respond in the first part of public comment and not respond to the second part. Where did that become law?
That was decided in a meeting that
Oh,
we
you're
had.
answering my question, which is illegal.
No, it was up to our discretion, and I'm
No, no,
giving you the
that's,
answer
that's
that
total BS.
why I said that.
It's either the same for everybody or nothing. So I suggest you get your crap together and decide which way it's going to be. Either you're going to answer public questions or you're not. Pretty simple.
Mr. Burke, I'm the appointed presiding officer over this body, and the statements that you're making about the laws and illegal things are simply incorrect. I just want to tell you that.
I'm just saying, it should be the same thing for everybody, not the ones you pick and choose to answer questions. That's all. It's pretty simple.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Am I done?
I think, if you're not, continue.
Well, you're dismissing me.
Continue.
Linda McNair Perry, 14 Range Road, stuttering on my own name. The subject that you just discussed about the NBC and that you only at NBC meetings discuss town and/or you discuss school, but that's not really true. You guys are now monitoring budgets for the school. You're, even in the summer, where you're not even discussing budgets, you're now monitoring both. So I just feel like that's disingenuous. I mean, I don't know if the other board members have watched the NBC meetings, but they do not limit themselves to only town issues, even if the budgets are not what's being discussed. They are discussing how money's being spent. So I don't believe that that's an accurate reflection. And actually, we have an NBC member behind me, so he might be able to reflect on that as well. The other thing I heard tonight from somebody is that there seemed to be a surprise for an elderly person where their taxes seem to be excessively high. And Karen, I can't see you hiding behind that, but was there any notice sent out to people that the tax bills were incorrect for people that had elderly exemptions? Or did this person figure it out themselves?
They were people that were newly granted this year. So they had received a letter over the late summer that their exemption was approved, and then they didn't see it reflected on their bill, so they questioned it.
So it was only new people. Okay, I just was
Yes.
curious if people had been notified. I just, because of people, but just might not notice that. And then the other question, I guess I would ask it doesn't have to be answered today. I would ask that it be added to the agenda as one of those unfinished items so that the town is aware. I didn't hear anything about the truck we were supposedly going to buy and then try to add a plow after the first of the year, and I did not hear anything about that. So if we could add that to the agenda so we could get an update on what has happened with that potential purchase of the truck.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
Tom Dillon, Haynes Road. If you think way back about 3 seconds ago when I came up here and sat down, I stated my name and that I was a member of the town to make a public comment. You have introduced a number of public comments into the record tonight without telling us who they were. Is that something that you can rectify? You have an email that you read, never told us who it was from. You have a number of complaints, never told us who they were from. You know, these are part of a public record. If you could please get that out, I'd appreciate it.
I think you're right. Sorry about that.
Well, and I think I can respond to that. The two suggestions that we got were signed at the bottom of the email by Colleen Prieto. She was the suggester of those two. And Karen did read that the suggestion about the alternate came from Kendra Cohen. I believe you did say that, right? Yeah.
Harriet Cady, and I am confused. And that's not too often for me.
Come on.
Why was not the complainant's name read?
You can read them.
You want them read? You want, what you'd like to know?
Yes,
This one here doesn't have any. We have Carol Levesque, Matthew Bort, Alan Coward Jr., Laura Cody, Alex Cody, Errol Rhodes, Eric Ree. Those were the 7.
so apparently these people all got together at the same time and signed a complaint that had been put out? Well, then the comments wouldn't all be the same. Secondly, I take exception to somebody in these complaints or somebody out there who said that Will had appointed all people who were Republicans. I'm a Republican, but I damn well don't let anybody violate the law, even if I am a Republican and they're a Republican. And that to me is an insult on these, and I really resent it. If we're gonna have this damn conflict of interest thing, then somebody better realize people can be impartial if they're a Republican or a Democrat. Now, tell me, are every one of those complainants a Democrat? Well, I just want to know. If I got to be individualized as a Republican, that I'm a bad person because I might not find something in a complaint.
Harriet, our party affiliations are all public knowledge and public record with the
I
supervisor of the.
understand that, but the inference was that because you picked Republicans, we might not be impartial.
Yeah.
On the Budget Committee, I don't understand tonight's comments on this, because on the Budget Committee, there is a school board member and there is a select board member, correct?
Correct.
And when the chairman is going to be absent, you're asking Will to be there in your place? So because he's a school teacher, somebody thinks this might be wrong? Honest to God, I'm ready to go up a tree tonight.
Well, that's on the law, Harriet,
Well, I think we're going to discuss, we're going to determine that. We haven't determined that yet.
but that's what, I'm just saying what was presented to us, that it was in the law.
It appears there are some arguments that it's law, and we're going to.
I don't think that's right, because we've had substitutes that have other conflicts through the years and never had this kind of stuff going on. We seem to have lost our town
Town didn't make the law.
ability to work together. We're going to be working as either Democrats or Republicans. That is irritating as hell.
All right, thank you, Katie, Harriet, Miss Katie. Do you have any other public comments from the audience? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.